blah, blah, blah. I'm talking to myself. Oh my God. Going crazy here. Not exactly how I want it to be. Anyway, good evening, uh, wherever you are in, I guess, anywhere in the world. I am Ria, and of course, special greetings to our team replay people who might be watching later on. And it's really, really nice to see y'all tonight. And we're doing a wind down to the end of the year. You know, Christmas was interesting here, and interesting is the best part, I think. So kids had a great Christmas, and yeah, Lon, that mute button will kill me every time, right? Yeah. So, well, you know, whatever. Hi from North Carolina. Hi, Tim. Nice to see you. Hey, Ron. How you doing? Yeah. Hey, thank you, Ham Radio Hobo. Nice to see you too. Awesome. Thank you. So, I'll tell you what. It's been a absolutely interesting and a great year. Hey, Josh. Nice to see you around. Josh, thing. By the way, those of you who are on Ham Radio 2.0, that's not Josh's channel. Josh's Ham Radio Crash Course. Ham Radio 2.0 with Jason. He recently crossed 100K. That's a big milestone. I hope to be there someday. I don't know when that's going to happen, but with your help, I can make it happen. So if you're new to the channel, here we talk about amateur radio. It's more of a teaching vibe, more of an educational thing. You know, I do some product reviews sometimes, but I'm limited in what I do. So I just kind of, I try to get a little more on the educational side and get people more interested in amateur radio. And very nice. Hello, Anime. Nice to see you. Good evening to you. And awesome. Thank you. Yeah, Jason has been really supportive of this channel. I mean, when I gave out the initial call to see if I could get subscribers to hit 1K, I'll tell you exactly how that happened. A lot of people flocked to my channel and came, and I was really appreciative of that. I've been on the happy hours and everything. And Dan, you're a funny guy. But it's kind of like Jason's kind of, we've been doing some collaborative stuff. I've been on his happy hours, and there is something he's working on, which will be very nice. But I'll let him spill the beans, spill the tea on that one with a lot of us YouTube creators. So, right. So like I said, if you're new to the channel, we talk about amateur radio. We do a lot of educational stuff. I do some additional things. I do a lot of renewable energy stuff too sometimes. And it's, I do it for several reasons. One of them is, I'm trying to find where I have some stuff here. But one of them is I believe that, because I've been through Hurricane Sandy and we had power outages and fuel shortages, so I think that people must have options for renewable energy. I've teamed up with a great company called Ecoflow, and I'm going to explain some of the things that I've done with them and where we're planning to go in the future. They reach out to video influencers and such like that and people on social media, so I help them out with their social media, and I get to do some video stuff too. And they have graciously let me play with some of their latest and greatest, some of which I can't tell you about yet, but there is some stuff coming down the pike and some stuff I'll be installing home. So, and I will be on Happy Hour next week. I might be in between straight key night because I want to, work on that straight key and I love to do the straight key night and do the Morse code on New Year's Eve. So I might also be streaming a little bit of the Reginald Fessenden broadcast. So energy independence is good. I have basically all of the above in terms of energy strategy. I have a generator I have from the grid, and our grid up here is 70% nuclear and hydro, and Basically, we're on an electric cooperative, and we own generating assets that produce nuclear and hydropower. So, all right. Wow, we have a big crowd tonight. That's crazy. um, yeah. So I was kind of hoping I'd hit 10K before the end of the year, but that's probably not going to happen. Who knows? We might still get a end of year miracle. But I'll tell you as well how we did that. So tonight I'm going to tell you all the great things that happened this year and some of what's going to happen next year. So without further ado, let me bring up Keynote, and I hope it doesn't mute me. And I'm going to show you here some things which happened. And I'm going to play this in a window. And I'm going to, you guys are getting blow by blow here, right? And let me see here. Keynote. Awesome. All right. So I am going to do this. Got to resize. Come on. Okay. All right. So yeah, I better move this camera out the way. I have my OBS scenes and such like that. During the pandemic, I actually did work with my church in OBS, and it was kind of like, different. We got a different live streaming system. How's that one? Okay? Okay. So anyway, right. So let me make sure I still have you guys in the chat. Hey, Frank. Welcome to Rhea Shack. And, of course, Tank Radio's there. All right. So, allow me to show you a few things here. Okay. So this, as you can see, is a graph of my YouTube subscribers. And if you look somewhere around, say, like April 30th, I got a little bump. So to begin with, this is basically how my channel has progressed, right? And you notice from June onward, I really started posting videos, and I really got a lot of views on this channel. And I really think that has helped. And a lot of people approach me now and say, hey, you're producing great content. So I think I definitely want to go ahead and produce more content and show you guys. I hit 1,000 subscribers at the end of last year, right? And don't worry, it gets better, okay? At the end of last year. And I use TubeBuddy, by the way. TubeBuddy is a great tool. Nick Nimmin, he recommended it to me, and I kind of decided to use it. It is this video that really set things off like a rocket, okay? And this video was the RF safety video. And, hey, thank you very much, by the way, Ham Radio 2.0 for sending people over. I really appreciate it. And again, congrats on the 100K. I know you've been working for it, Jason, so I'm really glad. I'm thinking, that's going to be pretty good. So I can't wait to see that nice silver YouTube plaque. And I'll tell you, I'm a little jealous, though. I know one day I'll do it, but, we'll see how that goes. Okay. So, yeah, so this FCC RF safety rules video was pretty interesting. And you could watch it on the channel, too. The FCC, a few years ago, revamped the regulations for RF safety, right? Meaning that, there were always regulations telling you how much RF you could put into your body, right? And they basically had radio amateurs have a different exemption, but this year they complicated it a little further. So I decided to use my skills of explaining and mathematics stuff and tell people that, well, it's not as hard as you think. So I actually got a lot of good advice from the ARRL lab, and they produced a lot on this. So I produced a video. I expected maybe it'd get like 1K. This thing got 18K. This is the video that got me in the YouTube Partner Program to get monetized. I had the 1K subscribers, but you need the 4,000 watch hours, okay? And this is, this was pretty good. So I always tell aspiring, ham radio YouTube creators, and I'm still small in this, okay? No way am I big like some of these creators. try to get something that people will really watch and share. People share this like wildfire. Okay? And that really helped me out. Prior to that, I had these videos, which kind of produced topics that I like. They're kind of getting some traction, but some of them were really not as hot. So I kind of like figured, what can I do? I'm a big fan of Nikola Tesla, and this event here actually was, you know, um, yeah, yeah. I'm a big fan of Nikola Tesla, and one of the clubs in Long Island who does a special event. They reach out to me and they told me, they say, hey, we're having a special event in honor of Tesla's birthday. You know, we want you to kind of talk about it, or at least tell people. I'm like, well, come on the channel. And I did a video with these guys. So I didn't get that many views, but it's very close to my heart. Yeah, Tesla, anime. Let me tell you something. Wild Cascadia Radio is anime. Okay, she's our ham fam, so to speak. Tesla has a special place in my heart. Not Elon Musk, even though I drive one of his cars. Okay, Elon's kind of a weird bird, but Nikola Tesla is even weirder, and he's weird in a good way. Nikola Tesla believed in so many things, and he was such a dreamer and a visionary. And he literally had to fight Thomas Edison, okay, who was a businessman, and, he believed in things. He didn't believe in progress. He believed in keeping things the way they were, not pushing the envelope, not dreaming, not taking risks, right? Edison, also believed in, oh God, I'm slamming Edison again. He believed in propaganda. He believed in attacking people. He killed the elephant in the middle of the square and all sorts of stuff. But let's not talk about him. Tesla was a beautiful soul. Okay, and my heart is really close. So thank you, Junebug, for the subscribe. Thank you, Amateur Radio on the Air. Yeah, unfortunately, Edison is honored all over the place in New Jersey for some reason. I guess because he had a laboratory here. But I like Tesla, and Tesla is the one who really is like one of the founding fathers of electrical engineering. Okay, and Nikola Tesla as well is responsible for the modern power grid, where we have alternating current. Thank you very much, Junebug. You know what, Junebug? I got to give you a big highlight for that. I have this module actually does super chats too. You see? Cool, Junebug. Thank you very much for your support of the channel, and Happy New Year to you too. So, okay. And let's see here. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, he was the father of the modern power grid. So I did a video on him, long and story short, and I really liked doing that. It was a lot of fun. I want to definitely get down to a Tesla Center and do a video. I teamed up with Kat Dixie DX, and we do a weekly show. That's been going pretty well. I kind of want to push Kat further along to get her to do some more videos. So we're working on that. But you know what? I like to lift people up in amateur radio. I like to lift up especially YLs, because I don't think, I think a lot are not encouraged. And, it's not about quotas or anything. It's just about giving people encouragement. Okay? So, right. So that's that. This consumed a lot of my life in 2021. Ecoflow is a company I actually do collaboration with in terms of renewable energy, and they sent me one of their Delta Pro, which is the portable solar generator, and they've been very good. I've had full access to their engineering team and R&D, and I've actually made sure that this unit actually was acceptable in terms of RF interference. So they actually designed the inverter inside of a metal box, right? And, it's not perfect, but it's acceptable and it's manageable in terms of you can add ferrites and stuff to the power cords and the solar charging to make it, not interfere on HF and not pose too much of a problem for amateur radio. I use mine I have two of them now and extra batteries. And I basically use that. You know, Anime, I'll tell you this. This kit is actually good for like people who are like, they're into mobile life, they're into van life and such like that, And they're pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna have these powering my whole house. And what I'm going to do, and I'll show you this a little bit later on, is I have a new device from them called a smart home panel, which basically is a electrical panel that connects to my home electrical panel and will connect the Ecoflows directly to my home wiring. So, you know, yeah, they're pretty good. But I help them out. I've been in their Facebook group and I've done a couple live streams on them for the Kickstarter, and they've been pretty, good. Anime, let me tell you, Wild Cascadia Radio, they actually use these. I've seen them use these in China for some of the coffee trucks. So yes, so people use them, and there are people here in the States using them for the coffee trucks. So they're all over the world, right? Then of course I started this live stream, okay, live with Ria, that which you're watching now. I started because I wanted to do something on my own with my own flavor, and then have something where I think I can express my own ideas and live and interact with people. Videos are a one-way street, and my videos are highly produced, right? I will edit and I will basically edit it down, add some effects, and I'm like really good with Adobe Suite and things like that. This is a fully automatic transfer switch, and it's actually pretty good because if you have time of use rates in your area, you can program the smart home panel to use electricity from batteries when the rates are high, and then switch back to grid power when the rates are low. So that I plan to do that because we're getting time of use rates here. We're going to get it mainly for electric vehicle charging, but the off-peak rate, I'm going to use that to charge my batteries. Also solar, right? And it's going to be pretty interesting here. So, all right, this isn't really talking head. I'm going to be showing you some things here too. Okay. This was my first video to crack 100K, and I explained all about GMRS licenses, right? That's been pretty interesting. I'll show you just how well this video did. I can't show you everything, but I'll show you how well it did. It got 102, and it just, it shot off like a rocket. I mean, I did not believe how well this video did. So apparently a lot of people are learning about GMRS. So that's what I got from the slides. And let's see here. I was a guest on several channels, and I gave a lot of talks to clubs. When I was at 8K, somebody sent some bots to my channel, and they sent it back to 10K. They sent it up to 10K, but YouTube removed all the fake subscribers. I dropped back to 8K. I don't mind. I don't want fake subscribers on my channel. I want real people like you in the chat, okay? And it's still growing. I'm up to like 9.2K now. This is one of the faster growing channels in the ham radio niche. And, I really appreciate everything you guys have given to me. And I hope that we can have a long, time together, so to speak. What is my secret? Well, I'm not by no means an expert, right? I've relied upon some of the YouTube experts for advice on this. But I found that people love content they could learn from. You have to be friendly and welcoming to newcomers. You should be genuine, right? Don't put on a fake persona. This is me, okay? This is me, okay? This is definitely me. Lean on your friends, right? And I have some special ones I like to call out. Kat Dixie DX, who is my co-host. Jason Ham Radio 2.0, who I mentioned has been a big help to this channel. Josh from Ham Radio Crash Course, he gave me some good advice. Tank Radio, it's been good. He's been very good, and many others in the YouTube space. So I'm really happy. In 2022, I want to reach a higher subscriber milestone. I haven't thought about what that should be yet. Maybe I'll see how the growth is going. It'll be ambitious to put out a number, but maybe it'll be double what I have now. Who knows? You know? Yeah. Keep a regular schedule. I know I've had some problems in the past where I couldn't keep a regular video schedule, but I have something down where I can do that. I'm gonna do more education. Okay, document some personal projects too. My tower antennas. I have an antenna in the garage I need to put together and put up on the tower. So I want to do that. Okay, and finish up my solar power project with this Ecoflow solar generators. I also have a drone channel. Do you know I'm a Part 107, remote pilot? That's what the FAA calls us, okay? So, I'm not saying that because, I want to feel important or anything, but I'm Part 107. So, we have, those who know me also know I do have a position with ARRL, and we have some important work to do. There's personal goals. We have Orlando. I'm going to Orlando, so I'll see some of you at Orlando, and we'll see some of you at Dayton as well too, right? And I have a new YouTube studio inside my house. Yeah, this place is kind of messy sometimes because the kids, I can't get them to pick up after themselves sometimes, but yeah. And I'm going to probably start inviting some guests, I want to try and, open this up and, bring more people to the party. Live streams are fun with friends, That's why I like to get on Jason's happy hour too. All right. And where we are today. So I'm here, right? 9,209. And maybe we'll go further. So that was a brief year in review, but we have more stuff coming up. So let me throw it back to me for a minute. Let me see what's in the chat here. Thank you for Chromecasting. That's pretty cool. I have a lot of friends who do that. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm a big drone geek actually. Actually here, I do drones. I do commercial drone work actually. Sometimes I go out and I take real estate shoots. Sometimes I survey solar farms and such like that, learning thermography and using drones. I don't have a thermal drone, but I work with people who have thermal drones. So yeah, so here's the thing, okay? I really can't say too much in terms of I can criticize the ARRL, okay? But I don't want to engage in just smack talking the ARRL. I know we have systemic problems, and I'm here to fix them. And I'd rather just take the feedback and go take it back to where I can do some good, which is in the boardroom at ARRL. And I really think that I have to strike a balance because there are people I have to work with, one, and there are people who I definitely have to, I basically, how should I put it? I'm responsible for policy that affects these people, so I don't want to do something against that. So anyway, I did mention something earlier that I wanted to get to you guys because I think this is important, right? And I'm going to also show you what one of the upcoming problems we're having with amateur radio. So as you know, the FCC has put $35 fee on us, right? And what does my club think about me doing videos? People in my club, they like the videos. I get asked to do presentations a lot, so yeah. So anyway, there is a threat of a new fee that is coming to amateur radio, but it's not from the FCC. It's from another government agency. It's from the U.S. Forest Service. As you know, the U.S. Forest Service has a communications facilities program where they host some they estimate around 37,000 wireless facilities or something like that. I believe it's 37,000 where they are, it is, oh, 10,000 wireless, 3,700 special use authorizations, 10,000 wireless communications uses at 1367 um, communication sites. Mike, yes, I'm definitely doing that, and I'm actually going to have merch for that too, merchandise. Okay, so there'll be stuff to be had. I'm getting the stuff ready for the 10K giveaway. Right. So, long story short, there was a farm bill, right? And I'm going to show you the farm bill. The trees are going to charge you. No, it's the people who manage the trees, okay? The National Forest Service, U.S. Forest Service, is going to they want to start charging administrative fees for communication sites. And, it's probably fine if they charge a big company like one of the wireless carriers like Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile. They have the money, okay? They charge so much money in the phone bill. Amateur radio operators, we don't charge anybody anything. I don't think we should be paying those fees. I've heard that there's a potential for some of these fees to be high as $1,400 per year. Okay? $1,400 per year to keep a repeater up on national forest land. What's going to happen is a lot of small clubs that maintain these repeaters are going to say, you know what? I'll do like Eric Cartman and go home. Okay? And I want to speak to the tree manager. Yes. On public land. These are our public lands, okay? These belong to we the people. And you know what? I can understand charging them, the corporations, but charging we the people, I think, is a bad idea. There are some very good reasons to oppose this. Number one, let me just say, okay, I'm not a big, MCOM enthusiast, all right? I don't walk around in a yellow vest or anything like that. I do see the value of having amateur radio facilities close to forests. And one of the reasons is wildfires, okay? Not just that some guy can take a Baofeng, and yes, I do have a Baofeng, and go and save the world if the forest catches on fire. There are actually legit emergency communications uses that involve repeaters and such like that. But there are also exactly fire watch volunteers, okay? There are people who maintain active nets to watch for fires, and there are live cameras to catch wildfires as soon as they start. Okay? To catch wildfires as soon as they start to ensure that they do not become big. There have been several instances where ham radio operators have actually caught wildfires in the infancy stage. They notified the fire authorities, bam, and they responded and they took care of it. And these are through various efforts. I believe ARRL, the Amateur Radio Emergency Digital Network, where they have these wildfire wireless cameras, right? I mean, sure, you could, some people think that you could do that with 5G, but guess what? Sometimes 5G won't work, okay? Sometimes the wireless carriers fail. The wireless carriers rely upon infrastructure. Amateur radio operators sometimes, we can operate completely independently, right? And best of all, we don't charge any fees for this, okay? We do this purely out of basis and purpose. Only you can prevent RF fires. That's a good one, okay? That is a great one. I heard Cal Fire wanted to do that one time. I think they backed off. But we'll see. So, right. Now, that's one thing. Of course, the repeaters are important. The other thing, too, is one of the things that you encourage people to, to do and go out in the woods, sometimes they might get involved in radio just so that they can have communication. And while some of it is simplex, some of it might use repeaters nearby. And by taking away this important safety lifeline to them, you're increasing the risk to their lives and their safety. Okay, so this is also a personal safety issue. And I think generally that it's a bad idea to impose these fees on amateur radio given our volunteer nature and the fact that we are pretty much the only service that is for and by the people. So I would encourage you strongly to oppose these fees. So how do you oppose these fees? Well, as it turns out, the ARRL, so let me bring up this article by the ARRL, okay? The ARRL has an article, and I will show you the link that we can, let me see, with web browser here. And I still had this on my right. Okay. Good. Right. And right. Okay. Man, this thing became so disorganized after I used this computer to stream Santa Claus on Christmas. Okay. Well, it is what it is. Okay. Right. So the ARRL to oppose Forest Service Administration fees for amateur facilities. Okay. Vern, thank you very much for joining. 73 and see you around. You could always be team replay. I wouldn't, worry too much about it. So the ARRL is saying the U.S. Forest Service is proposing to implement a statutorily required annual fee for new and existing communications use authorizations, right? And then ARRL plans to vigorously oppose the imposition. So how this is going to happen is that ARRL is actually preparing our strategy and comments and such, and we'll have this done probably sometime before the deadline. We don't generally, ARRL doesn't do this like right off the bat because you have to strategize and you have to make sure that and it's general practice when you're doing this sort of thing that you don't just make your intentions known at the beginning. You do it at the end, so strategically. So there is a notice, right, published here, and if you look here, and I'm going to make sure that this is coming up properly here. Yeah, I don't want to make it too small. I know I just got my eyes checked and they tell me I have to wear the old lady glasses now. Whatever. The deadline is sometime in February. Okay. So they must be received by February 22nd, 2022. Thank you, Covain. That was really nice. And so this is here, 30 CFR Part 251. Now, they're going to say Congress made us do it, but you know what? Make the fee $5 per year, okay? Don't make it $1,500 or $1,400, right? And anyway, so the Forest Service is proposing to amend its existing regulations to charge a statutorily required annual programmatic administration fee for new and existing communications use authorizations to cover the cost of administrating the agency's communications use programs, right? Okay, let's see here. Comments must be received in writing by February 22nd, 2022. So you're looking for this RIN 0596-AD Alpha Delta 44. You submitted via one of the following methods. You go to regulations.gov and then you follow the instructions for sending comments. Okay? You could do it by snail mail if you really insist. Director, Lands and Realty, Management Staff, 201 14th Street Southwest, Washington, D.C., 20250. Okay? You can deliver it by hand. Okay? Make sure you do it before the 22nd of February, right? All these comments will be placed on a record, and, they'll be available for public. It's the same thing as like what the FCC does, So, so they will tell you that the agency is responsible for managing federal lands that are, okay. Just want to make sure I'm not blocking you guys. Okay. Right. That are adjacent to rural and urban areas. These rural and urban communities depend on federal lands for critical communication services, including emergency services, internet service, cellular communications, and television, radio, broadcasting services. The agency authorizes the use and occupancy. Okay, so they basically, they're kind of like the landlord here. Okay, they're the landlord that sees all these communication sites and such like that. So the agency, they administer over 3,700 special use authorizations for infrastructure. That's support over 10,000 wireless communications uses at 1367, and they have 400 special use authorizations for fiber optic cables. Okay. And then USDA, they are involved too. And then they have, well, of course, they cite executive order in January 8th. This was under President Trump. Americans need to access reliable broadband internet service in the global economy. That was the same excuse to take away 3.5 gigahertz too. And I don't want to open this in Acrobat, right? So they give justification here, right? And this one you can actually, if you want to read this yourself, it is here, right? Okay. So, they cite, obviously everybody says COVID-19 is the reason the world goes around these days. Yeah, it's the reason I got my third vaccine and was knocked out in bed for the last 3 days. Let's see here. In addition to being statutorily mandated as outlined below, the annual programmatic administration fee will provide the funds to support a more modernized, efficient, and enhanced communications use program. Right? And then they say section 8705 C3B. Okay, this is in the Farm Bill. Okay, so the 2018 Farm Bill, basically on December 2018, was signed into law. And I'm going to find that bill and see exactly what this is. Not tonight, but, when I do my other video on it. They have, they got Appropriations Act of 2020, requires the agency to charge an annual programmatic administration fee for communications use authorizations to cover the costs of the communications use program. Notice this didn't specify the amount of a fee. Okay, so if they want to charge us $5, they charge us $20. If they want to charge us $100, that would probably be acceptable. But I've heard some of these fees are like $1,400. That's outrageous. And right, so they're required to do that by Congress, right? And the agency's communications use program, the proposed rule would implement the statutory requirement to charge the fee. And they update the regulations. So this thing is a whole, there we go. They see cost them $1,400 and $400 annual programmatic administration fees. So there's a dollar amount here. Okay. They so they're proposing $1,400 and $400. That is you know, we'll do that. So one thing I want to tell you is that resist the urge to use a form letter, right? Bob the Traveler says, I'm sure the ARRL will provide easy to use form letters to protest the fees. I think that form letters are not the correct way to go because form letters are usually just put in a pile and said, okay, these are the people who use form letters. And then they'll have thoughtful responses in the other end. And I think generally saying, Kenneth, thank you for watching and hope to see you on Team Replay. All right. So, yeah, let me bring this back here so I could bring up some chat messages. When the government gets involved, it gets outrageous. Okay. So Bob's comment here. I'm sure the ARRL will provide easy to use form letters to protest the fees. I don't think there should be a generic form letter. I think what's going to happen is that there should be talking points, right? So the ARRL's mission will be to educate you on saying, well, these are the talking points you should talk about. These are things that you should consider when you are writing your response to this. I would suggest these are not the final ARRL talking points, but these are my thoughts, okay? This has not been suggested by anybody. The value of amateur radio, in for disasters, particularly wildfires, right? Because wildfires affect forests the most, okay? And wildfires, regardless of what you think the cause is, okay, whether it be climate change, whether it be an outdated electrical grid, whether it be smoking, because Smokey the Bear, right? He says, put out something about cigarettes. Don't throw cigarette butts in the woods. Okay? Campfires, whatever, right? Lightning. We have more wildfires, okay? We have wildfires, especially places like California, And we help prevent these and we help respond to these, okay? You want to have that clear, okay? So if you're filing your comments today, by the way, and I gave you the document where you can look, there's a link to file the comments. Hello, Brian. And consider that one use. The other use is that amateur radio has had a very recent interest in the use of the national parks and parks in general. Hams have discovered the outdoors, and people who are outdoors have discovered ham radio. And with that, there are a new set of users of ham radio who will probably buy a radio like this one that they found on Amazon for $35 and said, hey, I got a ham radio. I can use it to be safe when I'm out in the woods. Well, yes. This little ball thing is probably not going to get you in the woods very far unless you hit a repeater that is some other part of the woods. So what you can say is that amateur radio repeaters are important for personal safety. Okay? That's a good point too. The other comment I would say is that you have a group of dedicated volunteers who are good stewards of the forest. You could cite things like wildfire cameras, right? You can have a good, a set of people to do these fire watch nets and such like that. Somebody mentioned POTA. So, POTA is not affected by this, okay? It's kind of ironic. It probably would have been better if it was, because then you'd have a whole uproar of people complaining about this fee. If you charge $1,400 to do every time you want to be POTA, I'm sure K and MRD and some people and Adam K6ARK, who does soda, would probably be out in droves and saying, don't tread on my POTA and my soda, okay? But no, they're not going to charge that. They're going to charge for people who have these special use authorizations and who are, I don't know, set up a repeater or wildfire camps. But the other thing is beyond emergency communications, because I don't believe that emergency communications should be the be all and end all of amateur radio. Okay? I think that is necessary, but I think that there's so much more to amateur radio. I think that what we should be telling the public is, look, these are public lands. This is a public resource. Amateur radio is for the people, by the people, and amateur radio in many respects are like the national parks, okay? They're a spectrum set aside, you know, not given to big business, not given to commercial interests, not given to the military or the police, okay, or public safety or anything, even though those are important, okay, but they have their own allocations, right? These are frequencies given to the people, and you know, you have to have this certain respect for amateur radio, having access to public resources that we can use with, while probably not free, but you know, within reasonable costs. And I don't think $1,400 a year is a reasonable cost at all for an amateur radio repeater, because not all clubs are rich. I've seen some clubs' budgets. I've seen clubs, you know, come and ask for money for different things. A lot of clubs survive on an absolutely shoestring budget. Okay, you can't squeeze amateur clubs like that. So, and the other thing too is that hams have had done so much within the past few years, just with national parks in the air and POTA, to publicize the national parks. You know, I didn't even know about half these parks until people came and they started, you know, doing national parks in the air, right? I didn't even know half the parks that existed in New Jersey. I'm pretty much ashamed to say this. I didn't even know they had the, you know, that waterfall in Patterson. Okay, Patterson, New Jersey. I didn't even know that was a national park. Now, as a drone person, I kind of have to know where the national parks are. You can't fly there, but that's a different rant for a different day. I think the National Park Service went completely overboard. Somebody was asking about BLM. BLM, I don't think BLM is involved. This is not the national parks, by the way. Okay, I've been talking about the national parks, but this is strictly the forest, right? So I did say about parks. I apologize if people thought this was about all the parks. This is about the Forest Service. This is not about BLM. BLM is not going to start charging, I believe. This is about the forests, right? So anyway, I've said enough. I'm going to do a more concise video, a bite-sized piece that you could share with people. And I got some new video presents for Christmas. I got a DJI OM5 that I'm going to be, you know, doing stuff with. So I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to do another video on that. All right. Let me show you guys some photos that I've been doing here in terms of, like, you know, what happened throughout the year. So, and yeah, and by the way, when you're writing these responses, try not to be, you know, don't insult people or anything. I know, you know, most people are nice about it, but some people they'll get emotional and stuff like that. Emotion really doesn't win arguments. I'll tell you what wins arguments. If you can convince somebody, you know, logically, with common sense. You know what's happening right now in the regulatory world? I'll tell you. The FCC is now deadly afraid that their new allocations for 5G are going to make planes fall out the sky. Okay? I'm telling you, yeah, the FAA and pilots, as an actual man pilots, have said if you authorize 5G on 3.5 gigahertz, it's going to affect radar. Okay? Radar in terms of the radar altimeters. And, you know, it's going to cause some problems. So what's going to happen? Well, the FAA actually, you know, the FCC actually put the kibosh on that right now. So yeah, Bob, thank you for doing that. Yeah, this is strictly Department of Agriculture and the Forest Service, right? Are you going to be in Dayton this year? Yes, I'm going to be in Dayton this year. I'm also going to be at Orlando. Okay. I will be. Brian, ADHGI, thanks for joining, buddy. I'll see you around. You know. Yeah. So let's see here now. Right. So yeah. So let's do that. But like I said, I'll have another video on it. Um, yeah. You know, I wasn't aware of the FA outlawing anything. Okay. So yeah. So what else did I do this year? Well, there were quite a few things I've done. One of them was I went and visited ARRL. Well, I usually go and visit ARRL anyway, but you know, I had I have this photo album here. I'm going to show you guys, and let's see here, and right, okay, so I'm gonna pull this one side. I need to do my OBS better, but it's okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, so this here is the new W1AW, and it's actually quite sleek, you know. So so Chris, this is actually a brand new 5G allocation that they have. That a new frequency allocation has never been in the USA, and we have a bunch of older aircraft that have these radar altimeters that can be affected, and testing has showed they will be affected. I do have a full video on it if you want to watch. So let's see here. Okay. Excuse me. Yeah, so this is the new W1HQ. And right. Yeah, this is the new W1HQ. This is the new ARRL. Apparently, they're going to make this into a YouTube studio. So I went and I took a trip up there, and I saw the whole thing. And David was kind enough to to show me around, and excuse me, to see where they were actually doing all of these new YouTube videos and product reviews and the lab stuff, and it's some really, really cool, interesting stuff, right? Let's see here. And I want to bring up another one. How did I bring up these? Okay. Open with preview. Okay. No, it's the same one. Alright. And another thing I did this year. Why won't this open? Okay. Yeah. So I'll show you another picture of the actual lab. And they actually have two racks of equipment. One of them is with the ICOM equipment. So here you're going to see they have one with ICOM equipment, and they have another rack with Flex equipment too. All right, I'm a Flex fan. I love Flex radio, but sometimes you gotta like a variety. So I also have ICOM radios. I like ICOM radios too. But so both of these manufacturers make a good radio. Ray Novak actually was at ARRL the other day, and he was kind of showing David Minster, the new CEO, a lot of the new equipment they have. So, it's kind of interesting, right? Now let's see here. 1 second here. I'm trying to figure out how to get this to all go at once. I'm afraid what this is going to do if I just open all at once. It's probably going to clutter up my whole desktop. And let's see here. Man. Alright, so anyway, sorry about that. Let me see what else is here. Flex Radio and Yaesu fan myself. You know, Flex is in Austin, Texas. I actually been to the factory, and they actually, well, actually when they were at Austin Manufacturing Services, I actually I actually went in there. I believe Flex said they moved the manufacturing in house, right? And they actually kind of just, they took over that. I guess some of that has to do with their brand new defense contract, which they have with these, the, I guess the drone makers now. Like, the real Predator drones, okay? Not the drones I fly, right? Like the ones that the military flies, that when you see one, you're like, oh, shoot, what's going to happen to me now, right? If you're a terrorist or whatever. But, yeah, they kind of, they kind of moved that in house as well. Let me see here. What is my favorite place to visit at headquarters? So my favorite place to visit at headquarters has always been W1AW, I have to say, because I always like to operate, and I always like to see to talk to my friends on the air, even though I've actually been getting more operating time recently. So, yeah. So anyway, all right. So I'll show you the pictures in another video sometime. I realize we're running short on time, but let me tell you what's going to happen in 2022. Okay, so 2022, I'm going to be at Dayton and Orlando. All right, that's one. I'm going to continue with this live stream, and I'm going to continue with the Thursday one. I'm trying to get Kat to get her general as well too, and I have something for her when she gets her general too. Let's see what else here. The solar project's done. It's going to be done. I'm going to have some more stuff doing with Ecoflow as well too. And I have a few product reviews to do as well too. And K588's coffee bar. Yeah. Where is this coffee bar? Oh, you mean Dunkin'? I've been to that Dunkin' actually. And, instead of, it's kind of funny, right? Like, I left a hotel. Well, I went for an administration and finance meeting. And I could probably go to the hotel breakfast buffet, and, they're not cheap, okay? They're not cheap, but it's a hotel. It's a Marriott. I go to Dunkin', I get for less than $10. Hey, I save you guys some money, okay? I'm not gonna spend a lot of money there. But yeah, Covain, the Flex radios are actually not too bad in terms of if you could get a used Flex 6300, that's actually not a bad deal, right? If you could get a Flex 6400, that's about I think it's they raised prices recently due to component shortages, so we'll see. It's kind of like, I guess it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, right? They kind of, the 6400 is the cheap radio. They put a spigot in his office and piped. Yeah. I told him when he come up to HQ, I have to go meet him. And, last time I was there, I saw him in his truck, but he ran off with Joe Karsha to basically do the W1AW video. So that was pretty interesting. Let me see here. Yeah. Yeah, so Ron Walensky was saying the radar altimeters are actually used in takeoff and landing, especially the automated systems. They're actually also used with military aircraft, right? And the military aircraft use these so they could fly low. Where the radar altimeters excel is basically when they're actually radar, right? So if you're flying over, if you're flying low, you definitely want to avoid objects on the ground, right? So this is the best way to do it currently. But especially when you're flying under IFR, instrument flight rules, you rely on your instruments obviously, and you want to basically have the radar altimeter rather than relying upon, say, what's below me? Clouds? Okay. No. But yeah. And yes, so the radar altimeters actually are good for, like, like when you see an aircraft go to land, they kind of like come down and then they just, they flare up like this. So that's a flare maneuver before they touch down. So they actually do that. And before they do that, it's good to make sure that they have their clearance and everything um, before they land. So the radar altimeters prevent that. Node Red, yeah. So actually Dave DeCoons, WO2X, he kind of got me into the whole flex addiction. So, yeah, he's doing Node Red. I haven't really sunk my teeth into Node Red yet. I'll probably try it someday. Let's see here. And, well, it's kind of a hard sell, a lot of, so here's the thing, okay? These clubs that pay rent into these repeater sites now, right? They went into that with that expectation, okay? Like, I know places that go and rent at, like, example, the Chrysler building in New York City, right? Or any of these tall buildings. And they knew that going in. I also know, and I know this for a fact, that a lot of people have friends who are, they're friends with the building management or whoever, and they got space in a corner, and they got that, and they're all hunky-dory, okay? If you have some place that you've been basically paying nothing for, or next to nothing for years, and then suddenly you have to pay $1,400, I could see that being a make or break, with leaning toward break for some of these sites, okay? I don't think so much it is the fee, is the fact that, there is now a fee where there was previously no fee. And it's the same thing with the amateur radio license fee. Okay, so that's pretty much. I had a radio transatlantic contact thing. Yes. So actually, I don't know if I showed you guys, but I actually did the whole transatlantic. Oh yeah, it was it was a community post on the channel where I made contact with the transatlantic recreation station. So, as you know, in 1921, and I explained this in a video, in 1921, radio amateurs were basically banned from the good frequencies, which were the long waves, right? So the long waves were like 500 kilohertz was an international maritime frequency, and then you had other frequencies which were low frequency, and it was thought that these frequencies would be the only ones with which you can achieve transatlantic communication. Well, the problem is that, that's what people thought, right? And people also thought back then, well, not back then, maybe way before then, that, that the Earth was the center of the universe, right? And back before then, people thought the Earth was flat. So, long story short, is that Ham said, you know what? Let's go for broke and let's try and make lemonade out of their new lemons. Let's try to make contact with these useless frequencies and low power, because back then they used high power and they used some really, really elaborate and really wonky radio equipment. Back then everything was mechanical, right? It wasn't electronic like it is today. Okay? Back then they had these huge, gigantic alternators, right? That they would, spin up to like maybe like 9,000 revolutions per second. That's crazy, Or actually, they would get it to produce. I don't think it actually spun up that high, but they had many different poles in the alternator that produced a frequency, an alternating current in the tens of kilohertz, right? And that was a big deal. But these things produce like 20,000 watts, and they would use that to transmit. Well, and they had these on ships too, believe it or not. Things burn a lot of coal. So anyway, the funny thing is that in 1921, they said, well, let's try it. So they sent an American over to Britain they failed the first time, right? Then they sent an American over to Britain to actually receive the signal. And then they had a station in Connecticut using a 1 kilowatt transmitter, right? Not 20,000, 1 kilowatt, using vacuum tubes. And they sent a message, and by golly, he received it. So they did this recreation, and they had a special stations. They had W1AW in Newington, Connecticut, which was the ARRL. They had the Radio Club of America, W2RCA. They had the Antique Wireless Association. Their call sign is W2AN, so they signed W2AN stroke 1 BCG. So they actually, they recreated this whole thing. And they had a contest where, not a contest, they had a special event where you could contact these stations and you get a certificate, right? So I contacted the one in Scotland, which was GB2ZE, and I contacted the one in Connecticut, which was W1AW, which was the ARRL. And once you do that, you get a certificate. If you were the first ones to do it, you get a cup, right? A Scottish drinking cup called a quench. I don't know how you pronounce that. Okay, I'm not Scottish, as you could clearly see. But the person who won that in the United States is a friend of mine, actually. He's the ARRL treasurer, Rick Niswander, K7GM. So he won that. And then they had to do one. So anyway, Dan. Hey, Dan. How you doing, buddy? I hope Flex Radio is treating you well. I don't know if you're still there. I've been so out of the Flex loop. But, you know what, Dan? It's nice to see you anyway. I hope things are going well for you. Yeah, so the Alexanderson alternator, exactly. That's what they used back in the days, Let's see here. 10 meters have access to. POTA, okay. Let's ban. Joe Husker. Joe, Joe is a good buddy of mine, Joe is actually one of the only people to actually come and visit my shack, okay? But that's going to change. I'm going to have visitors to the shack sometime. But, so anyway, it's 10:37 on the East Coast. I would really love to stay longer. Even though I'm off tomorrow, and, it's kind of like, we'll see how it goes. But, thank you very much for a great year live with Rhea. Thank you very much for all the support. Listen, all the things we've been through in 2020, for better, for worse, I'm really glad to have you guys. And thank you for a great year, okay? And like I said, especially to the fellow YouTube creators, I wish you guys all the best of success. Those who are achieving success, I wish you more success. Those who are now getting into amateur radio, I also wish you all the best. Those who've been around in a while, I wish you continued success, okay? And I hope that even if your interest in amateur radio starts to wane, maybe you find something else to do. Mine is like that sometimes, okay? I find different things to do. So, thank you, and good night from New Jersey. This is N2 RJ. Have a great one. See you around.